Am I late for the party? Sorry. I was trying to get my makeup on beforehand, but you don't expect me to cook to you. At least I'm wearing sensible shoes, but okay, I'll put my apron on if you insist.
It is about vegans, but they all think they're foodies. They all think they know everything there is to know about food. Whether it's, I guess it's because we think about food all the time as vegans, don't we? Isn't that what, most people when they consider themselves foodie, they're only talking about how it tastes, whether it tastes good or it tastes bad. But as vegans, we've made it our life to think about not only the flavor of food, but where it comes from. Did it harm animals? Is it impacting the environment? We think about all of those choices. And because we do, I believe we are the most conscientious of all eaters, and our food, therefore, is truly the most beautiful. Because how can food be beautiful if it harms another creature? If it's caused suffering and pain? It just isn't beautiful at all. Now, the thing about vegans, though, about being a foodie sometimes is oftentimes we only think about compassion and the environment, and we forget about our own health. People come upon veganism in different ways. Sometimes you approach it from a health perspective, and you become a whole foods, plant-based person, and it's only a few years down the line when you realize, gee, but there's also animals to think about in the environment. And other people come from a totally different angle where they're all about the compassionate, the ethical vegan. They're thinking only about animals. And they're eating those waffles with fried chicken and triple-decker donut sandwiches and that sort of thing. And they forget about it. But what happens is, as we age, and pardon me, but I just got another year older this week, if you remember. I don't know how it happens, but every year it just takes one day and I'm a whole year older. You get older and you can't just eat those triple-decker donut sandwiches anymore. You really have to start thinking about eating a whole foods, plant-based diet, even if the major reason you're vegan is because you're in it for the animals. And if you are in it for the animals, then you want to shine. You want your health to be exuberant, and you want to be vivacious because you want to impress people that being vegan, you can be this energetic. If you're always eating crap and you're feeling kind of slovenly and like a sloth, then you're not going to impress a lot of other people. So it pays to eat healthfully. It really, really does. And so I too like to have I don't know about triple-decker donut sandwiches, but I too like to indulge once in a while. But generally speaking, I like to eat less processed food. But it's also really exciting that there's so many different food products that are coming onto the market. 7% of all new food products in 2014 was vegan. 7%. And it really, really means that veganism is taking over this country. 20% of all non-dairy, 20% of the entire milk market is now non-dairy alternative milks. So we are really becoming mainstream. It's a really exciting time. So the fact is, many of us do continue to like some processed food, but it's not that good for us. What if we could have the processed food, the convenience of processed food, without the processed part? We just want the convenience part. And that's what my book, The Homemade Vegan Pantry, is about. And in the next hour, or less than the hour, in about 40 minutes, I'm going to attempt to make a condiment breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, we've had a few challenges with ingredients, so we've modified a few recipes. I'm going to start out with a condiment. One of the chapters in my book is all about how to make your own condiments. Everything from ketchup to mustard to 3 kinds of mayonnaise, your own jams, your own fish sauce, Worcestershire sauce, all kinds of condiments that you may be able to buy either vegan or not. You can make it yourself easily, quickly, in 30 seconds, and it's a lot cheaper. So we're going to start out with our own basic ketchup. Who ever thinks about making ketchup? Any of you ever think about making ketchup? A handful of you. Well, I certainly never did until I opened this restaurant, and it was a day before we were about to open the restaurant, and I had a burger, and all of a sudden I realized I'd forgotten to buy ketchup. So I had to whip some up in the kitchen, and that's what we're going to do right now. I'm starting out with 1 1/3 cups of tomato paste. And into the tomato paste, I'm going to add about 2/3 cups of water. I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of apple juice, apple cider. This is apple cider, I think.
Vinegar.
Yep, apple cider vinegar, thank you. Earlier, I was looking at apple juice or apple cider and getting a little confused there. And I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of sugar and about 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, and I'm just going to mix it all up. And that is my 30-second recipe for ketchup. I'm going to use a whisk, which makes it a little bit easier. That's all ketchup is. Read the ingredients on the back of the bottle. It'll list exactly the same ingredients, so why can't you make it at home? And what's wonderful about making this at home is if you don't want to use sugar, you can use maple syrup or agave or even date paste to make it a Whole Foods ketchup. If you want to make it spicy, go ahead and add some cayenne or smoked paprika. If you want to use a different kind of vinegar, give it a different twist. Try apricot vinegar with a little bit of maple syrup and get a different twist on ketchup. So there you go. You've got instant ketchup. It took less than 30 seconds, and that makes about a bottle of ketchup that you would pay, over $3 for if it were organic, and we probably made it for about 30 cents or so. So there we go. There's ketchup. That is very, very simple. And you can, if you start making your own condiments, you can, as I mentioned, customize them, add your own twist on it. It's so easy. Now, here's another thing. How many of you like to have Sunday morning pancakes or waffles? All right, great. How many of you like to pull out all the ingredients every single weekend and make it from scratch? Okay, a handful of you. I don't love that personally. I'd rather just be able to reach out for a mix and just put some soy milk and I'm done. So if you can make your own baking mixes, whether it's pancakes or waffle mix, pancake biscuit waffle mix, or your own chocolate cake mix. You have a recipe for chocolate cake mix, but we're not making chocolate cake mix today. We're making pancake mix instead because it's a lot easier. If you can make your own mix and just store it in your in your pantry, and then when your kids come down, your husband comes down and wants brownies at 10 o'clock at night, you can whip it out really, really easily. So that's all you have to do is make something from scratch once in a while, and then you can make something from scratch all the time, very easily. I know there's some sort of, sorry about that sound. So I'm starting out with 4 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use whole wheat pastry flour if you like. And I also have a recipe in my book for a gluten-free one. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the sound there. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. Okay, once again, you can add coconut sugar if you like to decrease. If I can do that rhythmically, then I could dance. There. Now, I don't. Am I coming through now? Still, you can hear me? Okay. I'm going to add some baking powder. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And the other ingredient is usually ground flax seeds. We don't have any, so we're going to substitute ground chia seeds for that. And I've got ground chia seeds here. I just put chia seeds in a blender and pulsed it. I'm going to add about 5 tablespoons. There. And I'm just going to whisk it all. Now you can go ahead if you like. If you are not lazy, go ahead and sift this. If you're lazy like me, just whisk it really, really well. Oh, and a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. This is a flake sea salt. You want to use a finer sea salt if you have that. And there you go. Now you got pancake mix, and you can store this in your cupboard and pull it out whenever you want. We're going to cook a pancake right now. If I can get this thing turned on. Let's see. How do I turn this on? On. All right. Okay, there, I got it. Now, to make the pancake, all you need to do is use equal parts mix and soy milk or almond milk or something else. I'm going to take a cup of this mixture. I'm going to take a cup of this milk. That's coming out very slowly. That took more time than making the mix. And then you just want to whisk it just ever so lightly. Leave a few lumps in there because you don't want to, the more you mix, the flatter your pancake will be. There, that's it. Now I'm ready to cook my pancake. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of earth balance on my pan there, just so it doesn't stick.
They have earth balance on this ship?
They have that. Well, you've been. No, I haven't seen it yet. But you know, I sent out for it, and they went. You know, they took one of those little tender boats to shore, and they bought me some. So now that's it. There. Now I can cook a pancake. Now, how easy is that? Now, with the same mix, you can make biscuits or waffles or scones or anything else. You can just have it in your cupboard, and every time you want a pancake, or even if you just want one pancake, just take a little bit of this, a quarter cup of this, and a little bit of milk. And you don't have to pull out your entire pantry every single week trying to make pancakes from scratch. Makes life so much easier. All right, so now, while that is cooking, and now we've already gotten through a condiment and breakfast, we're going to go on to a soup. And this is another really easy soup. Now there is a soup stock, there's several soup stocks in my book. I like to have very precise flavors. So there's a got-no beef broth, a chickenless chicken stock, a seafood stock, because we're vegan, so we see food all the time. And then there's a mushroom stock. And what I do with the spent vegetables is turn them into something else. So when you cook vegetables in stock, oftentimes we just compost it or throw it away. I'll take the vegetables from the beef stock and turn it into veggie dogs. Or from the chickenless chicken stock, and I'll turn it into a pureed soup. So, waste not, want not. But today we're going to take, these are cooking up rather fast, and do I have a spatula to flip these? I'm not sure I do. So I may have to improvise with a spoon when it's ready to flip. So you just want to make sure that there's bubbles on the top before you flip, because otherwise it sticks. And these pancakes are light and fluffy. There we go, look at that. Can you see that? Just takes a minute. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're not going to make the soup stock, but what goes into the soup stock are just all these ingredients. This is the chickenless chicken stock, so I'm just going to bring this over here so you can see what goes in it. There are potatoes, onions, sweet potatoes, carrots, poultry seasoning, mushrooms, thyme, and sage. Not exactly in this quantity, but basically. And you're just going to cook it for a while. Chef Robert went ahead and made some for me already, so it's already prepared. And I heated it up so it wouldn't take a long time. Now, what I love about this soup, the curried sweet potato, whatever it's called, curried butternut squash and coconut soup, is that it's a flavor profile that I discovered in London at a Bangladeshi restaurant where they combine lemons with curry. And I absolutely love that flavor profile. So I'm going to be making a very easy soup. And another thing I love about this soup is that you just boil everything at the same time. And then you puree it. There's no pre-sauteing, there's no oil added to it, so it's ultra healthy. I'm going to put this down here because we're not actually going to use any of that. And I'm just going to throw all of these vegetables into this broth and forget about it for a while we go on to making Caesar dressing. So the first thing that goes in here is the butternut squash. And I've got some celery chopped up, red bell peppers, onions, and you can add as much or as little curry powder as you like. You can add a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons depending on the strength of the curry powder. So we'll do a tablespoon and a half for right now. Okay, and then later on I'm going to be using the lemon and the coconut and some black pepper, so I'll pull that off. And, some sea salt, I've already got some there. So I'm going to just move this so it's out of my way. There we go. They were fantastic, Chef Robert, in getting all the mise en place set up. I mean, he had to go to work because I had all these recipes. And then we're just going to cook this, if I have it on correctly. That is the only, okay. Let's do it right here. We know this one works. So, and then could somebody get me a wooden spoon of some sort and a lid for this pot? Wooden spoon, yeah, thank you. And so we're just going to cook that for about 20 minutes or so until it's nice and soft. And in the meantime, we're going to make the Caesar dressing. Now this is interesting. You're going to be tasting the Caesar dressing in a few minutes. This is another Caesar dressing that doesn't have any oil in it. Now, we were talking about Whole Foods plant-based. We were talking about as you get older, you can't be on a cruise every single day of your life. So I do like to indulge. I love my rich desserts. I love my olive oil as much as the next person. But on a daily basis, I do try to watch my oil intake, but I won't skimp on the oil if it affects it culinarily, if that makes sense. In other words, it's got to taste good. If it doesn't taste good, I'm going to add the oil. But if I can get away with not adding it, I will. Because, you know, hey, it packs on a few pounds. So this is a Caesar dressing that doesn't have any oil. It's really easy to make, and it's just a matter of pureeing everything. Now, the ship did not have nutritional yeast. So, that's okay. It's not a sacrilege. Hey. So, we made a substitution. Which is that we're using a little bit of miso. Now, as you all know, as vegans, nutritional yeast is often added because it adds sort of a cheesy flavor to dishes. We're going to skip that today. We're going to be using miso, which also imparts a little bit of that cheesy umami flavor instead. So I need a spoon or something. So we're going to start out with 1/3 of a cup of tofu. And you can use any kind of tofu, not super firm. This is what we have. Or actually about 3 ounces of tofu. There we go. Throw that in there. And I've got some miso here. In place of the nooch, we're going to add a little bit of miso, which will add that umami that we're looking for. Okay, let me look at my recipe so I know what the heck I'm doing, because I often do not know what I'm doing. I'm going to add a little bit of, about 1/3 of a cup of water, and lemon juice. Did we have lemon juice around here? All right, how garlic do we want to make it? I've got 4 tablespoons. Very?
Yes.
You're going to regret it. All right, that one went into the soy sauce. I'll make one. This is soy sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce. This, I believe, is, no, that was balsamic vinegar. This is soy sauce. Oh, well, whatever. It's close enough, right? It's close enough for jazz, as they say. So we got a little bit too much of that going on in there. And so I'm going to add some Dijon mustard to this. And this is a super creamy dressing. You're going to taste it in a few minutes. And we're going to add some almond meal, which adds a bit of richness without all of the pressed oil part. And a 1/2 sheet of nori, which will... Okay, that's a 1/2 and that's a 1/2, right? We'll add the bigger 1/2. So that adds a seafoody flavor. And then I need lemon juice, which I thought he squeezed some lemon juice for me, but maybe not. So I will squeeze some myself. All right, I don't know if I'm going to have quite enough lemon juice here. We'll see, but we've got some made up. So, you know, if you don't have a certain ingredient like nooch, miso is a really, really great substitute. As Miles Davis used to say, it's not how you get into it, it's how you get out of it. So, you know, I'm always looking for some way to improvise in the kitchen, like the chia seeds for the flax seeds, miso for nooch, etc. All right, so we're going to just puree that. Don't think I have quite enough lemon juice. I'm going to make this go away. There we go. Okay, turn this on. Feeling that the dressing that he is going to bring out would be better than this, because I got the balsamic and the shoyu completely backwards. But anyway, all right, let me give it a taste here and see if it's even close to the Caesar dressing. Actually needs to be processed a little bit longer. Gritty Caesar dressing. All right, so that is a very, very easy, oil-free Caesar dressing. All right, so now we're can make this machine go away. Let's just check out these pancakes too. Look at that. They're tender, they're light, and they're fluffy. And they're yummy. There you go. It's kind of like a flying saucer. Uh-oh.
30 seconds.
Yeah, 30-second rule. Pick it up. All right. We'll cook up some more. All right. So, does somebody want to come up and cook up a couple more pancakes here if I can get this thing working? Laura will do that. All right, Laura. Okay. So I just need to get this working. Now we got 2 more recipes. Now that didn't take long, did it? To make 3 different items. We're going to go, actually we got a 4th one coming. Now we're going to go on to the umbrian tartufo sauce. But I mentioned earlier today, I am totally smitten with Italy. I absolutely love Italy. I just got back from Italy, from this area called Cilento, which is the southern part of Italy, about 2 hours south of Naples, where people live as they have for hundreds of years. And they make everything from scratch. They make their own wine. They pick their own olives and press their own olive oil. They make their own pasta, of course, and all their own sauces. But everything is from scratch. You're talking about my book being from scratch? These are the true people living their lives from scratch, working the earth, having connection with their food. I mean, that's the thing, is when you become a vegan, sometimes we just go overboard at the supermarket buying all these things in boxes and cans and everything else. We lose our connection with food. We lose the purpose of what that food was for. And it's wonderful when you can rediscover it and your hands can touch things. But if you can do it easily and quickly, why not? You know, I got started with this whole scratch thing because my daughter complained. You know, my husband was an Army reservist for 20 years. And he's like a drill sergeant. I mean, he was Mr. Boot Camp himself. So, you know, we've always made our kids earn their keep by doing chores. So my daughter, of course, has to take out the garbage, my youngest one. And one day she just started complaining. And she's like, why do we have so much frickin' garbage? And I said, what are you talking about? We don't have garbage. Is there any way you can turn this on, or one of these on? I need to heat up this water. And I said, you know, we recycle everything. Or maybe I can just use this one. That one doesn't work. That one is working? Okay. You know, we recycle and we compost, and what's the problem? And she goes, you know, it's all this recycling. You've got all these cans and containers and boxes and all your stupid bottles of wine, and, you know, it was just like, and I realized she was absolutely right. And that's when I realized I needed to go back to making things from scratch again. Things like dressing and my own pasta and my own bread. You know, just like the people in Cilento do. They do everything. They can do it easily, and they still have time to live. Why can't I? And I want that kind of life that brings me back to having a connection with the things that grow from the earth that I can give to other people and make that real connection. Because that's what food is about. Food is about, we were talking about Soylent. Anybody know about Soylent? Okay. Food isn't, I mean, life isn't about Soylent. It's about real food that helps us make a connection with people. That helps people become vegan. The more we can do that, the better it is. So we're going to make a really, really easy rustic pasta. And while it's resting, I'm going to make the umbrian tartufo sauce. And I see by the clock that I still have 30 minutes, and I can get the rest of this done in 15 minutes. And then we'll have time for question and answer and signing books. So I'm going to put 3 cups of flour in my food processor. I don't know if I have quite 3 cups. If I don't, I'll improvise. Well, it's close enough. All right. I'm going to add a little bit less flour, a little bit less water, I think. I'm going to take some hot water. And somebody was telling me that they had made pasta and they spent forever doing this with a pasta machine. We're not going to do that. How is that dressing? Okay, so for this, you would normally put nutritional yeast in it. This does not have nutritional yeast. So at home, you can try it the way it's written in the recipe. But I think it turned out pretty well, considering. Or is that hot? That's not hot yet. When that turns hot. All right, we're gonna need another burner. That's the problem here. And I am running out of burners. So let me just move that. And, okay, that is not hot yet. What I want to do is put hot water into my flour to make pasta. Your own homemade pasta. It just takes 15 minutes, seriously. Some of these other dishes only take 30 seconds. This one takes 15 minutes, so you have to work extra hard. But it's still really easy. I gotta wait for that to boil. I'm just gonna check my vegetables here and see if they're getting soft. They're almost getting soft. Oh, look at those pancakes. They're looking good. But okay, now, don't smash the pancake or it'll be flat as a pancake. So, yeah, all you do is flip it. Once it's flipped, let it just cook on the other side, and then it's perfect. All right? So while the lovely Laura here, my assistant, is preparing pancakes, we'll go on to the pasta once this boils. And I'm just going to rinse these in the meantime because I'm going to need this again. All right, I'll tell you while this is waiting, I'll tell you a bad joke that I told incorrectly twice on this trip. So, but I got it right now. An atheist, a CrossFitter, and a vegan walked into a bar. How do you know? That's right, okay. I guess that joke's been going around, so. All right, so what you want to do is get hot water. I think it's hot enough. And so it's about 1/3 the amount of water to the amount of flour. I'm going to use a little bit less because I'm just not sure how much flour I had in there. And I'm going to turn this on, if I can figure out how. There we go. Because I can always add more hot water to the bowl, but I can't take it out. And what's going to happen is it's going to form these little beads first. And then it's going to come into one big ball. And then you want to process it for about 30 seconds after you've done that. Coming together. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Are you passing out the pancakes? Not yet? All right, that's going to come together in a minute. So it's beating up. Can you see it? It's turning in. Okay, now it's turning into one ball. We're going to let it go for about 30 seconds after that. Okay, so actually, can you move that one back there? Because I'm going to start cooking the tartufo sauce on here. Yeah, thank you. Chef Robert, everyone. He's going to move it all I'm going to get another pot. I'm going to get a larger saute pan for the tartufo sauce. So I can use, or chef's pan. I can use that. That one's fine. Okay, there we go. So, that is my ball of pasta. And all I'm going to do is, and is there another there, never mind, yeah. I'm just going to, it's warm because I used hot water or warm water. I'm just going to pat it out like that. And I'm going to cut it into fourths. And then I'm going to just put a towel over it and just forget about it for about 15 minutes while I make the sauce. There we go. Okay, now we're going to use this same machine. Oh, there's a little bit left in here. So let me just get all of the goodies out of there. And somebody was asking earlier how to make tortellini or ravioli. Well, this is how. You make your own pasta. You can make it any shape or size that you want. So now we're going to make the tartufo sauce. And I'm going to start out with mushrooms. I have a pound of mushrooms here, and they have been quartered by my lovely assistant Laura and Lavon. And we're going to put the mushrooms in here. Now, you don't want to put too many in here or they'll turn into mush. What we want to do is chop them very, very finely or mince them. You don't want them to turn into mush, but you do want them finely chopped. So it's good if you can just pulse them. So that it looks like this. Can you see that?
There we go.
Yes? Am I in the right place? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to turn that's on now. And what I'm going to do is take some olive oil, which is one of these. This is olive oil, I believe. If you can skip the olive oil if you want. I think I have the right one anyway. And I have some shallots. So, I'm going to put the shallots in here. This umbrian tartufo sauce is something I had in Umbria another time I went to Italy a number of years ago, and every restaurant seemed to serve it. This was a specialty of the region, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And so when I came back, of course, I had to try to recreate it, of course, without real truffles, because, you know, they're so expensive and hard to come by. So I've got some shallots that are finely minced, sauteing in some olive oil here. And in a minute, we're going to add these mushrooms. Let me put it in a bowl here. I'm going to pulse the rest of the mushrooms here. I've got more traditional sauces also in the book, but this is one that comes together very, very easily, quickly, and is absolutely delicious. So I'm going to add the rest of the mushrooms there. Turn that on for a minute. Oh, and I forgot the garlic. So I've got some minced garlic as well. I'm going to add that along with the shallot. Uh-oh. See, that's what I didn't want to do. You don't want to turn it on and walk away, or you'll have mush. But I did it anyway. So, but luckily I didn't wander too far. So, could you do me a favor and rinse that out? I'm going to need it to make cashew cream. I'm going to put away the Robocrew. All right, we don't want to burn this. So we're sauteing that. And now you can see the mushrooms. They're very, very finely minced. In the old days, you would do this by hand. Finely minced mushrooms. In French cuisine, anyone know French? You know how to pronounce duxelles? No?
Horizon.
Well, anyway, this is how you do it normally. You would chop this by hand very, very finely. I'm going to add the mushrooms to this. And we're going to cook this until it is sort of like, well, it turns nice and brown. There'll be a little bit of liquid in the pan, which is fine. And then we're going to finish it off with a little bit of cashew cream and truffle oil, and that's the sauce. It's a very, very easy sauce. In fact, you know, I don't think I have enough things here to make, because I am going to have plenty of time and not enough things to do, because when you make things from scratch, if you simplify recipes, you realize how quickly many of these things come together. You know, most of us are just very frightened by the idea of making everything from scratch. I know I certainly was. In the old days, before I had kids and everything, I would spend most of my time baking all my bread, making my own soy milk, everything. And then I stopped doing when I had kids. And, you know, I even stooped so low as to buy a jar of marinara. I had never done that before. I mean, I couldn't believe, I was like embarrassed when I went to buy it. And then my whole refrigerator, my whole pantry became processed foods or things that had been made that I wasn't making anymore. And it was when my daughter had that moment when she flipped out because of the garbage, and I realized I needed to take stock of my pantry again and start making things freshly from scratch. Okay, so, but after cooking for 30 years, I had discovered all these really easy tricks to make food fast and easily. So I'm going to add about 3 cups of water. I don't know if that's 3 cups or not, but it's close enough. And because I don't think I have a cup of cashews here, so maybe I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll do this. There. All right, that's close enough. And we're going to make cashew cream. That's still too much water. I usually use a 1-to-3 ratio of cashews to water to make cashew cream to finish off the sauce, and I'm going to turn it on now. So, meanwhile, the mushrooms are cooking. Season a little bit of sea salt. Now, if you don't have a Vitamix So you may want to soak your cashews first to make sure they get nice and creamy. If you have a Vitamix and you're making cashew cream, you just have to throw it all into the blender and combine. It's super, super easy. All right, that should be done there. We're going to be using the blender a lot. I use the blender a lot in my household. All right, now the mushrooms look nice and brown. They're no longer raw tasting. And so to that, we are going to add the cashew cream and the truffle oil. Okay, I do have the right oil. So I'm going to add a little bit of cashew cream. And what happens with cashews is that they're about 10% starch. So even though it's runny, you saw how runny it was, right? Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, it will thicken up as it cooks. And this will become a lovely thick sauce that you can toss your pasta with. I'm going to just add a little bit of tartufo sauce there. Or not tartufo, truffle oil. This is white truffle oil, which I prefer for this recipe. I'm going to give it a taste. And that is nice and thick. Yummy. A little bit of pepper. Black pepper. And that is ready. So how fast was that? That was easy, right? All right. Now let me just check on my soup here and see if this is ready to puree. Now this is nice and creamy. Or not creamy, it's nice and soft. So I'm going to pour my cashew cream out because I don't need to use this anymore. Now, if you have an immersion blender, it's a lot easier because you can just stick the immersion blender right in here and puree it. If you don't, then we're going to have to do this. Let's see. We're going to have to transfer it all into here. I was actually thinking we wouldn't have time to make this soup, but it's all going so quickly, and I still have 20. I put the timer on so I would keep an eye on how much time I had. I've got 21 minutes to go. So actually I've even got more because I set that before the curtain opened. Quite a bit of time before the curtain opened. We're going to turn that on. Now, as I mentioned, this has lemon in it. I haven't added the lemon yet, and I haven't added the coconut yet. So I've got some coconut milk here, and I need how much coconut milk? It says 7 ounces coconut milk, about half a cup. So, I don't know. That's close enough. There. And we're going to add the rest of this. Let's see if I can maneuver this. Oh, and I only dropped 1 piece of butternut squash. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to finish this soup off with a little bit of lemon zest. I'm going to turn this down very low so it doesn't splatter. There. And, oh, I need lemons. Yeah, I need a couple of lemons. Thank you. All right, to finish the soup off, all you need to do is add the lemon zest, which sounds very strange, I realize, but it's a wonderful combination with the curry powder. And then I'm going to, we're going to top it with a little bit of coconut milk and lemon juice as well. So let's get this stirring up here. And now we have one final thing to make, which is the pasta, which I'm going to roll out now. I don't know if it's been quite 15 minutes or not, but it's close enough. So we're going to roll the pasta out and then boil the pasta and see how it turns out. Okay, let's take a look at the pasta. So here we go. You just want to let it rest. Actually, I need a little bit more flour or it's going to stick. I wonder, yeah, some flour would be great, thank you. And then I have a rolling pin. So this is a lovely thing about making your own pasta is that you can make it any size shape or width. Do you like this? I can think of a few other things I could do with this. So let me just move this over. And my pasta is not sticking. Isn't that nice? Let me just move all of this stuff here. It's just in the way. You know, if you don't like to make your own soup stock either, I have a recipe for your own homemade bouillon in the book. So that makes you have your, you know how, you guys, what is that brand that's kind of like a paste? You know what I'm talking about? Better than bouillon. So this is like better than bouillon, but you make it yourself. And then you, okay, I actually need to turn this off. Okay, if it's off center, right, it turns off, so I'm going to do that. And hopefully the back of it, the back one will go. So you just want to roll your pasta out. If you have semolina flour, oh, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, great. If you have semolina flour, that even makes it better. So you don't really need a pasta maker. All you need is a food processor. You can even do it by hand, but then you got to knead the darn thing, which, you know, is too much trouble for most people. So you just want to roll this out. And the thing with rustic pasta is it doesn't have to be super thin. You can even have different, you know, thicknesses in your pasta, and it's super chewy, and it's wonderful because it's so rustic. So you want to get it as thin as you can because, as you know, it's going to, is that heating up? It's going to get fatter as it absorbs water. I just want to roll out enough to be able to, look at that, it's not sticking. I am impressed. You really don't need any special implements. I mean, after all, in Italy, people make pasta by hand, like this. You know, they're not buying fancy pasta makers. They're just doing it by hand, and they feed their family. And we had pasta every single day, every meal, and we never got bored of it. So, as you can see, it's getting nice and thin. It's still a little too thick. This is still heating, and I want it to turn off. Let me see. There. Thank you. Actually, it's let's do this. Let's go like this. See if that's working. There. Okay. Let's see if that heats up. And then you can cut it any way you like. I probably shouldn't cut it on this marble surface, so let me move it over here. And you can cut it like linguine, like this, or you can make it like fettuccine, like this. Uh-oh, that didn't cut through. You can do it lengthwise. You can make lasagna like this. It's really, really up to you how you design your pasta. And if every single strand of pasta is not the same width, that only adds to the charm.
Do you use it for ravioli?
I'm sorry? Oh, I'm trying to heat this one. I'm sorry, someone had a question?
Use it for ravioli too?
You can use it for ravioli. If you want to make ravioli, then go ahead and cut it into a rectangle, and then put the filling on one side, fold it over, and then crimp it with a fork. So, tortellini is takes a little bit more finesse to make that shape, but you can do that too. So here, I'm making kind of like very, very fat fettuccine. And as soon as that water boils, now you can dry this out, of course. If you're going to have this sitting around so it doesn't stick together, sprinkle a little flour on it. If you want to dry it out, you can, hang it over. You can make a little contraption with things like long chopsticks and then just sort of hang it over that to dry out. Or you can leave it in a pile like this with some flour and just let it dry out naturally, like you see egg noodles sometimes. You know what I'm talking about? So, and you can roll this out. If you want to spend more time rolling this out thinly, you can. Now, to finish off the soup while the water is boiling, I'm going to add the lemon zest. Ooh, that's a very heavy pan there. And, a lot of people take a microplane, and to do zest, they go like this. I don't like to do that because if you do that, you can't see whether or not you've gotten down to the white part. So I take the microplane, I just bring it over the surface of the lemon, and I just keep turning the lemon just so I remove only the zest, and the zest stays on top here. Just like that, and then we add the zest to that, and you can add a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how you like it. We'll give that a stir and give it a taste. And add a little bit more lemon zest to that, but it's tasting good. And then you can make a little topping by putting some lemon juice into I'm going to run off some of that water there into the coconut cream. A little bit of sea salt. Give that a stir, and this will be this will be like the creme fraiche that you put on top of the soup. So let's just plate that up. I think there's a bowl here. What did I do with that? The ladle. Anyone see the ladle? Here it is. It's under the pasta where ladles belong. So we'll do that. And then and this is almost boiling. We're going to boil the pasta. I've got a little bit of pasta in here. That's close enough to boiling. Add some sea salt to that. And you know what? I've got some more dough here if anybody wants to play around with it or take some to their room and make a sculpture. Because we don't have quite enough here. What we could do is get some more. Well, you're going to have you can actually just taste the sauce as it is, because we won't have quite enough pasta here for everybody, but there'll be stuff for you to come up and taste. And I am going to wind this down in a minute because, fresh pasta only takes a minute, because I'm going to be signing books in the back. These recipes are all from the Homemade Vegan Pantry, The Art of Making Your Own Staples, and as you can see, you can make a condiment breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the space of about 40-45 minutes. So how easy is that? Yeah. There we go, look at that pasta. Looks like it's about ready. It only takes a minute because it's chewy, al dente. Isn't that how you like pasta? Yeah. Don't you want it to be nice and chewy and al dente? I think I had I need tongs or something to drain this pasta. But let's see. How shall I remove this pasta? That's the question. I guess I'll use this. Okay, there we go. We'll just use this. Can always improvise there. And I'm going to just toss the pasta in here, a little bit of the sauce. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. I'll need it for spooning anyway. And there's the Umbrian tartufo sauce. And those of you who are fearless can come up and grab a spoon and taste these. And there we have it. party. See you at dinner. We'll be real party if you win.
Oh my gosh. It's so good. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Hi, pancake maker.
Well, it is easy. It is easy.
Chris.
Have I seen you before?
I think so. I think I met you before.
What's your number?
Actually, 5077.
Yummy, yummy. Okay.